Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I was just in the kitchen about to make myself a smoothie. As you guys can see, we got a new blender today. My other one's been broke for a while, and I wanted to make some smoothies because I'm getting tired of eating so many leafy greens, and it's easier for me to make green smoothies. So in this one I've got orange, banana, blueberries, spinach leaves, and then I'll throw in some frozen fruit in a minute after I get it blended. But that's not what I want to talk about. I got to ask a question, and it's a common question I get. Someone was asking me, should they lock out their overhead press at the top? Is it bad for the elbows to do lockouts with heavy weight? And the answer is no. This is a pervasive myth, and I think this myth exists for two reasons. It exists, one, because some power lifters develop elbow problems and things, and inflammation in their triceps, and a lot of that is because a lot of serious power lifters do board presses, which is just lockout work with 500, 600, 700 pounds, which is way more weight than they're capable of using for a full range of motion on that joint. So they end up overloading the joint more than they need to. And accordingly, I think that puts some extra wear and tear on the joint. And then bodybuilders who always complain about their elbows and elbow tendonitis, because a lot of bodybuilders, when they do various tricep movements, they do them in a way that really puts a strain on the elbows. So what you always see is when they're doing tricep extensions, you'll see bodybuilders with their elbows in and they're doing this. Or they do skull crushers the same way. They've got their elbows in tight and they come to the face and they do this. And that puts a lot of strain on the insertion points, the tendons that insert in the lower tricep into the elbow. And over time that can cause inflammation, tendonitis, and what feels like elbow problems. And so it's the way they're executing their exercises that cause this. It's not the actual pressing. But a lot of times people confuse the two. Now, in reality, unless you have hypermobile joints, which means your elbows lock out further than a lockout, this is a lockout. If they move further beyond that, beyond a perfect 180-degree line, then you might have hypermobile joints, in which case locking out could be problematic. But this is relatively rare. It's not a very large percentage of people who have this issue, but if you do, you might want to consult a physical therapist about it just to be safe and assess your situation. But under normal conditions, locking out isn't essential for development. Full range of motion is not required for hypertrophy. However, it is required for joint angle specificity for performance. So if you need to perform on a lockout at the end of a movement, if you're a football player who hits someone on the field, if you're a power lifter who has to lock out your 1 rep max in competition, if you're a boxer who needs to lock out hard when you punch somebody, you need to complete your lockouts for performance reasons, because you need to be strong at the end of the range of motion. So you need it, but the others don't. But the other thing to consider there is not so much performance, but rather joint health itself. The truth is, load-bearing exercises with an appropriate range of motion, with an appropriate workload and appropriate technique, are good for your joints. So if you're locking out a weight that you can do for a full range of motion for a number of reps on work sets, and you're working that joint through the full range of motion with a load-bearing exercise, meaning weightlifting, you will actually strengthen your joints. It's actually good for them in the long term. It's just if you're doing excessively heavy weight through partials or something, like board presses with 200 pounds more than your 1 rep max, then yeah, by all means, that's going to put wear and tear on it. But doing appropriate training through the full range of motion of any joint is actually good for the joint health. It's not harmful. So hopefully that clarifies that. All right, guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Oh, about biceps.